You're watching Escape Adulthood Live, your number one source for long-lasting, fast-acting, physician-approved adultitis relief.
On this episode, we're talking about enjoying the view and chatting with professional emcee, juggler, and Las Vegas headliner Jeff Civillico.
Greetings and salutations. This episode is brought to you by people like Kristen Haney, Lynn Major, and Julie Brown. Their membership in the Wondering Whimsy Society supports us in this work to fight adultitis. Thank you, guys.
Yes, if you'd like to annihilate the adultitis in your life, learn more about the Wonder and Whimsy Society, or be the first to know about our newest offerings, become an insider at escapeadulthood.com/subscribe. Happy Wednesday, everybody.
Good to see everyone on here tonight. You are in for a treat.
Oh, it's going to be a fun one, you guys.
I know I've been saying that a lot lately, but all the other ones sucked.
No, they're all good. And who is going to top Tracy Miller tonight when she said that she was witness to the birth of her niece?
Where was that? Oh, well, yeah. I didn't see that.
Try to top that one.
Most amazing thing you've seen live.
Right.
And what did she say? She might have misread the question. My bad. Not a live show. No, that's okay. That can be a show too. That can be.
Having been at a birth, I can attest. No, I didn't witness the birth.
No, but I have, and it's unforgettable. Let's just say that. All right. Well, we want to get to our special guest tonight, but before we do that, we got a couple things we want to share about what's going on with us. So we talked about Wonder and Whimsy Society. Every month, we send them a postcard with a secret mission on it. And this past, in September here, this was the secret postcard. And the back always has a message that you have to decode. It's a secret. You can't let the post office people read it. No, they can't be trusted. Yeah. So we got a chance to do that. We did. It was a pajama run this month. So kind of an oldie but a goodie. But we hadn't really introduced that to our society members. So last night we went for it. And we got the kids were suspicious. We got the cowbell, so the kids they know pajama runs, but we'll bring this. We'll go, and then we'll say pajama run, and the kids get all fired up. And we went out to Dairy Queen, and the top one is Kim's amazing photography there. She nailed it. The car was moving and it was dark. So there you go. That's we were actually idle at that moment, but we weren't moving at all. But one of the things that's now become a mini tradition. So the point of a pajama run is just to spontaneously go out for ice cream in your pajamas. So
it's pretty self-explanatory.
But the kids have now a thing where they kind of dare me to mispronounce a word as we order. So we were on some vacation. Sweet. And they dared me to ask for napkins, except they wanted me to say nipkins. So I did that back.
This is telling you a lot about our family.
We get some extra nipkins. And
for the 30 seconds leading up to this, we're all like, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna say it? Is he gonna say nipkins? As if the person on the other end.
Well, they don't care. They probably can't even hear it. They're just like, what? So last night someone ordered, was it you, Oreo Mocha Fudge?
Yeah, Oreo Mocha Fudge, a new blizzard.
So they wanted me to say mocha. Mocha.
Yes, we did.
Because I'm like, actually, it's mocha. She goes, you should say it that way. So we have a little video here, and the mocha part is right at the beginning
because I caught it right when he was getting ready to do it.
So pay attention. And the best part to me is you pan back to show the kids in the back seat, and they're all giddy.
Excited.
Mocha fudge.
You were giddy too.
All right, anything else?
Nope, that's it.
1735 at the move, please.
All right.
Did you say mocha?
I said mocha. So I said it.
No one cared. That's the funniest part. The person at the when we got our blizzards, they didn't acknowledge.
I had butterflies. I was like, should I say it?
This is so how
dumb.
simple silliness can
That's
be.
how scary my life is. I'm scared to say mocha to a stranger. All right.
You're a drive-through.
So yeah, that's that. So and another Wonder and Whimsy note, the boxes went out. We got the
yes, I've been seeing
quarterly
boxes getting
quarterly
posted,
mystery
so
mailing.
That is awesome.
This is what
Someone
it looks
said
like.
it looks like a pizza box.
This month's does look like a pizza box, but there's not pizza in there. This is a shot of Lucy with a stack of boxes. We took them to.
They rocked it.
I didn't, but Jenna and
the kids rocked it. Lots and
some
lots
good
of
slave
hours.
labor for the kids. Although they
This
get
is
paid,
homeschooling, you guys.
pretty well. I gotta
Hashtag
say,
homeschooling.
if I would have had
They
this
do get
job
paid
when
pretty
I was
well.
a kid, they're so
You
lucky.
should have seen Lucy's face today when she got her check, because of course she wanted to get paid right away. So she's at that age now.
They
Cash
put their
is
little
king.
sheet in my little inbox, and it says, "Please pay me," and a little post-it note, kid writing. So it's pretty good. All right, well, tonight we have a very special guest. We are so excited to share Jeff Civillico with you, and
What a cool last name, by the way.
it is. Although I've been spelling it wrong.
Oh,
I forgot.
how can you spell it
Well,
wrong?
look, I spelled it wrong right there. Oh
You
my
did?
god. Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
How's
like
it really spelled?
with two L's. Two L's.
Oh,
So
Jeff,
all
sorry.
all future instances except this will not be edited out. But at least I'm letting you know it's two L's in there. But
man.
I noticed that this afternoon, like, damn it,
We're bad
every
hosts.
single instance. Which is funny because we just did a gig this morning
and
they
our
spelled
name
my
wrong.
name wrong, and I'm like, geez, you can't even get the name right. Like,
That's
paying this
karma.
money? It
If
is.
you don't
It's
believe in karma,
It's karma.
there you go.
Terrible.
So
So let's. Okay, so Jeff Civillico is an amazing person, entertainer, juggler. He does amazing things with ladders, and you'll see that in a little bit. Instead of like introducing him, I thought it would be kind of cool to show you one of his demo reels because it really gives a good example of what he does and how he delights people. So let's take a look at that.
You guys gonna give him a standing ovation if we get number 4 here? Arch that back. That's 4! Give him a standing ovation, come on! And, not yet, sir. Let's talk about your conference experience.
You guys have a product for that? Knowing this group, you're like, actually, we do. You guys, you're not even
Thanks for being here, Monica. Good. No, you're not going in. Whoa, you were way too cool with that. Oh, there it is, got it. Thank you, everyone. Keep that ball's going for Monica. Woo!
Jeff Civillico. Look I got the 2 L's in there, right there. I got that part right. Welcome to Escape Adulthood Live. Thanks for being with us.
I'm so honored to be here. I'm such huge fans of you both. And you had me cracking up laughing the whole time. Like, keep going. You are hilarious. Yeah,
Thank you.
I love it.
Well,
by the way,
our viewers know they're in for a real treat here with you tonight. So we're excited that you're sharing a little bit of your time with us.
Oh, of course. Hold on. We got to talk about a couple things, though, from your monologue there. So Dairy Queen brings back so many great memories. I used to go with my family, mom, dad, 2 older brothers, to Dairy Queen all the time. We used to walk to Dairy Queen in the summer, especially. I remember we lived just a few blocks away. But I love what you've done with the keeping it fun, doing the silly, pronunciations. That's hilarious. So that reminds me, a parallel here. When I started off my Las Vegas show, I had the very coveted time slot of 2 p.m. And I also had the very coveted property of a casino that was under renovation. So it was like filled with tunnels, right? It was like impossible to find the venue. Like I even had trouble. Like after parking, I was like, I think it's a left. It was like I was following cheese, like to try to get through this maze, right? So it was an 800-seat theater, and there was literally like 6 people in the room, like all the time. So it was just like, let's just have fun, right? I'm not going to be like, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going to talk to you like I'm doing a show for 6 people in my kitchen, right? So one of the things the tech crew did, which reminds me of you with the pronunciations, was they started off by putting a word on a piece of paper in my trunk with all my props that I would have to work into my show at some point. Right. But then they kept expanding. So I'd have like 20 words and they'd be checking them off in the box. And it just got so ridiculous. Nobody cared. I'm a goofball anyway. But it would literally be like, hey, did everybody have a great lunch? Did you have some tangerines, some, Oreo cookie, mocha blizzards? Like I was naming all the things. And as I would go over to get my props for the next bit, I'd be like, orangutans or something like that. I'd be like, this guy's running around like an orangutan, Like, I would hear the guys in the back, like in the lighting booth laughing in the sound booth, and again, it was just a way to keep it fun. When you told that story, It reminded me of those great memories from when there were 6, 8, 10 people in the showroom, which were tough times. Fortunately, that's not the case anymore, but that's how we got through, was just keeping it fun, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I got to say, I more than anyone that we've had on, I had a really hard time explaining what you have so many things you're good at. You have so many things that you do. I'm like, is he a juggler? Is he an entertainer, an MC? Like, I feel like leaving stuff out doesn't tell the whole story. But I'm curious, where did it all begin? Was it, I feel like I heard somewhere it was juggling. You started juggling, or was it something else? Where did this all start for you? Yeah, no, and I appreciate you saying that. Honestly, that's a blessing and a curse, right? It's been the best thing for my career and the worst thing, because I call it this like doctor, lawyer, merchant, chief mindset, right? Like, we want to put you into a box. It's like, so what is he? Like, is he a magician? It's like, no. Like, is he a juggler? Like, no. Like, he juggles things, but like, he's not what you think of when you think of is he a comedian? Like, no, you probably think of a stand-up comedian, right? So it gets this kind of like, just hire this guy. He'll make your event better, right? Mm-hmm. Whether it's you need a host personality or some entertainment or a speaker, he's going to be, good, high energy, impactful, engaging. But again, that's very challenging, especially before you've built up that clientele and you've done the reps to kind of get the testimonials and the social proof. And people say, oh, I've heard of this guy. Yeah, we're going to hire him. So it's funny you mentioned juggling. And by the way, no offense taken at all. You say he's a juggler, because that's honestly like that. That's how I started, right? Like I was a juggler. As a kid, I learned how to juggle from VHS tapes and books, right? Which I love now, because when you look at YouTube, there's not as much imagination required. I had to read this book, The Complete Juggler, kind of took you through all these different patterns, and they had drawings of the patterns on pages. And I would have to look at that like a canvas, right? And create that in the air, like paint the patterns. Like IKEA instructions. Yeah, exactly. Right. and I would watch these VHS tapes and like pause and rewind, and play it again for like 4 seconds. And then again, I'd have to recreate that in the air. And then I'm like, no, that wasn't right. And go back and rewind and try it again. Right. So at first it was all about juggling. It was just, I think it was really a good way for me to combine sports and arts.
came from a very well-rounded family who really pushed everything on us, right? Like do all the sports, but also I was in choir and I was in band and I was in drama, right? It was definitely encouraged. I'm so grateful for my parents for always supporting, all the activities, right? Like find what you're passionate about, find what you're good at. And, maybe that intersection, that sweet spot, like that's what you should pursue. And so I was really athletic as a kid, but I also was very artistic. And when I found juggling, it was like this weird aha moment because undeniably, you have to have good hand-eye coordination. You have to train for it. You have to be in good shape, right? Like when was the last time you saw like a fat juggler, right? It doesn't really happen, right? Like really like jugglers in general are like pretty fit. They're like, health conscious and they practice every day. There's a workout, right? But then it's also artistic, right? You're getting to, I mentioned like paint in the air with these props, right? You can kind of create anything and in a moment it's gone, right? But you can create it and it's completely up to your imagination to then put routines together and choreograph and everything. So it was for sure about juggling in the beginning. Then I started sharing my juggling with others. And I realized very quickly that no one cares about juggling, right? Like at all.
Really?
And yes. Kim, I hate to break this to you. But
I care about
There goes your hobby.
Kim, you are in the minority. I love you for it. But nobody's like, we need a juggler. Like, seriously. And it does happen, oddly enough, for magicians, right? Like, and I test a lot of this to Las Vegas, where I am. Magicians like Chris Angel, right? David Blaine, right? Penn and Teller. Magic has maintained this mainstream likability and this fascination. We have a fascination with magic. Literally no one is like, you know what we need for our holiday party? A juggler, right? I get hired in spite of the art that I bring, right? But no, it's okay because what I did was it taught me at a very early age that it was not about the thing you do, right? It's about everything else. It's about the connection with the audience. It's about the entertainment value. It's about the ride you take them on, the connection, right? All of that. So I went from juggling very quickly to entertaining, right? So then from entertaining, that's creating a show, right? Having a through line, taking the audience on a journey, right? Getting them involved. I mean, really as a kid, I was working at theme parks and I was trying to get people to stop and watch shows at Busch Gardens. I did shows at Busch Gardens in Williamsburg, 6 shows a day, 6 days a week for years. And like, I didn't have a theater. It was like, you're doing a show like on this spot right here in front of the, ye old toy shop or something, like the candy shop, like do a show. So it's not really do a show. It's like get people to stop and watch you and entertain them and hold them long enough. So I learned very quickly, okay, like I'm going to hand this person this juggling ball and have them throw it at me, right? And they throw it at me and it goes way off and everybody laughs. I'm like, oh, that was funny. I'll recreate that and do that again, right? So then it became, oh, kids, let's get the kids involved, right? Let's get some spinning plates for the kids. Now the family is invested and they're watching, right? So again, from juggling to entertaining, then from there it shifted to connecting, right? So, and that is like connecting one-on-one. When I'm flying to an event, I'm the guy who talks to the, next to you on the plane, or talk to my Uber driver, talking to the upper management backstage, talking to people afterwards, right? I was like, this gives me an excuse to connect with people on a micro and macro level, right? That was really powerful for me, right? And I realized I'm a people person. I love this. So it's kind of just an excuse to get out there and hang out with people and meet. People say to me as an MC, like, hey, would you come to our social events? I'm like, well, yeah, I'm here for the whole week. Like, and they love that, right? They love that I kind of embrace the event, the community, meet some of their people and develop relationships because I genuinely love people. And so that's not work for me. That's fun, right? So then the fourth stage, which is where I feel like I'm at now, is you have got juggling, entertaining, connecting, and then really it's about making an impact. And that's a lot of the work I do with my nonprofit. Now that I have this platform, the Las Vegas show for 10 years, to turn that into the philanthropic platform with Win-Win Entertainment to kind of mobilize other entertainers to give back, I do things for the community here in Las Vegas. I'm on the board for Las Vegas Academy of the Arts because I believe in arts education for youth. That's really important to me. I'm the spokesperson for the Las Vegas Natural History Museum because, again, people think Las Vegas, like, you got history museums. Like, yeah, we do. So I try to do my part of getting the word out about the history museum. And there's just science here and paleontology. We're discovering new fossil species and everything, new fossils, every year here in Nevada. So anyway, I'm going on and on now, but so you get me going.
Can we
But
go back for a
it's kind of
second and
progression.
tell people? So win-win, we were going to ask you about that because that's right up our alley. So tell us, for those who have not heard of Win-Win Entertainment, can you kind of give us a little background on that?
For sure. So Win-Win Entertainment is a 501c3 that I founded almost 10 years ago. We have our 10-year anniversary next year, which is great. So the first show I ever did was literally ever. The first time I ever showed up somewhere outside of my kitchen performing for my grandmother, like after dinner when I was 10. At 14, I had a service project in high school, and the project was to do something that takes you outside of your comfort zone and to write a reflection on it. So all my friends were going to soup kitchens or, senior care facilities. And I thought, well, I do these shows for my family, my grandma. I'll do a show for the special needs school down the street here in Philly. And I'm in Las Vegas, but, there in Philly. So that's what I did. So I did a show for special needs children, and it changed my life for real. That was the first time, again, I ever showed up as an entertainer. And I had an amazing experience, and I kept performing at this school. And then everybody talks, just in business and any philanthropy. So they started sharing my contact info. Hey, this high school kid did this great show for us. So I did shows at other special needs schools and then in some hospitals. And I kind of, it's like an homage to how I became a professional entertainer. A lot of entertainers, they have their career and then they kind of start giving back.
Mm-hmm.
I came in the other way, which is just no knock against the other way, right? That's more normal. But I literally was like a charity performer first. And that gave me a lot of confidence because I was not being paid. I was free. They were so excited to have any entertainment. And, if you want an audience with no filter, special needs children, that is your audience. And honestly, it was awesome because it was very, very apparent to me when I was losing them. And they were right? Like the A material worked with them, but the fluff, like they weren't going to buy it. They would just start playing like Duck, Duck, Goose in the middle of my show. Like, boring, so I'm like, I got to connect with them. I got to engage them, right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I did. And it's same thing too, right? Like I'll do a show for 1,500 people, like whatever. I walk into a hospital room to like entertain a kid who wants like nothing to do with it, who has like a couple parents and like a child life specialist. Like that's a hard audience, right? So if you can go in and win them over, and make them smile and then like get a really nice, comment or, for saying like, this was like such a bright spot, it's been a really hard, she's been here for, 3 weeks and this is the first time I've seen her smile. Like people say things like that. It's like chills. But that's, honestly, that was like my training ground was some of these really tough situations, senior care facilities and special needs facilities, hospitals, USO Air Force bases, things like that through the nonprofit. So originally you asked me what Win-Win is. I'm getting there. That was kind of the back. So we are a 501c3 national nonprofit now that's based here in Las Vegas that I founded back in 2011. 10
years, yep.
Doing the math. Yeah, exactly. I'm like doing the math. So what we do is we exist to bring smiles to kids who really need it, whether that's in hospitals, foster homes, in tough situations. And so we do that by arranging in-person and now for the past year and a half, virtual visits from professional entertainers, athletes, and celebrities. So a lot of professional speakers have gotten involved, which is great. John Petz just did our Win-Win Live show. We've had Jason Hewlett before. Judson Lively was on a couple weeks ago. So we do a show every Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific called Win-Win Live, which is a virtual show that goes out to all of our hospitals. We have 20 plus hospitals now who join, and they beam that show into all the rooms and the break rooms and everything. So in addition to that, once we get through COVID, we'll add back on the in-person visits, which I'm really excited about because we were in person in 9 cities until COVID, right? So like Vegas, Orlando, New York, Minneapolis, Phoenix, Orange County, we're pretty national. But then when COVID happened, silver lining, everybody got comfortable with Zoom and with, Teams, WebEx, all these hospitals as well. They don't have external visitors, right? So they were cool with Zoom, and now performers from all over the country can Zoom in to all these different facilities. So now we reach like UVM in Burlington, Riley Children's Hospital in Indianapolis, MUSC in Charleston, all these like smaller markets that we're not going to have performers either living or passing through. So what's great is we've expanded the reach and the impact so that when we add back in-person visits, right, to our major markets like Vegas, New York, Nashville, Chicago, like cities that you would kind of expect entertainers, athletes, celebrities to be either in or passing through, that now when you add on the virtual, I mean, it's very exciting because virtual, like we never would have even thought of this before. So,
That's
really,
awesome.
really excited for the future with win-win.
That's so cool. I'm glad people are, let's see, someone, Elle says, way to give back, Jeff.
And actually, Elle asked earlier if you've ever spoken for CADA, which is the California Activities Directors Association. Is that familiar?
No.
Okay, she thought maybe
you were familiar.
Yeah.
There was something, you're talking about jugglers, and no one cares about jugglers. Kelsey says this makes me want to hire a juggler.
Kelsey. I love you, Kelsey.
So I have a question, because you alluded to the starting out the theaters with 8 people in them, and I'm glad you said that, because that's something that people see people at your level and they forget that, or maybe they don't know. Like they're like, oh, he's just so talented. Of course, he's a headliner in Las Vegas. I mean, I remember the days of speaking for 8 people at a thing, and of course they sit way in the back, and you're like, seriously, can we get a little closer?
Thanks for helping me out, guys. Appreciate it.
Something you mentioned, Jason Hewlett. So we had a chance to chat with him while we were together at the NSA convention, and one of the things he told us about you was he said that everyone in Las Vegas respects you because of how you came up. That you started as I think just like a kid on the street with nothing, and like built yourself up to a Las Vegas headliner. Can you tell us a little bit about like those early days and like the scrappiness that was required and what kept you going?
Thank you very much. And that's really kind. I mean, Jason's one of my best friends and a mentor and a hero of mine. So that means a lot. He knows Vegas, really well from his experience too. So, it's funny because my story is, I think, really interesting, and I'll kick it back to a story, and I'll tie it back. I promise, Jason, I'm coming back to that question. But this is a moment where I realized that this is a real issue. It's a real problem, especially with youth. I mentioned about really big into arts education for youth. So I was on the board. I'm on the board for Las Vegas Academy of the Arts, and I do scholarships for them. And like I'm really engaged with them. I usually perform at their school once a year in their big theater, and then I do a Q&A, right? And so this was a couple of years ago. I was doing my show, and I on the Strip. I did the show there, and I'm doing this Q&A, and this girl asked me with a completely serious. She said, "Who discovered you?" And I was like, "Me." And then it was like this weird silence, and I was like, oh, you're serious, right? And I realized like the America's Got Talent culture, like the American Idol culture, like I hate that. And like Vegas is full of that, right? So I realized it's not her fault, but like she's at LVA, so she's like trying to get on The Voice. She's trying to get on American Idol. She's trying to get on America's Got Talent. And I'm like, I didn't do any of that, right? And at the time, like, it was just kind of, it is what it is, whatever. Now I'm like so happy that I didn't do any of that. And I did it like the old school way because I love the story. The narrative is so important now. And I'm getting back to the answer of your question. I'm like one of the few true Las Vegas headliners that like didn't get it handed to them, right? Like I kind of just worked really hard and developed a reputation, and an opportunity presented itself, and I just kept kind of parlaying these smaller opportunities into like slightly bigger opportunities, right? So, I mean, this is like a whole another show, perhaps like the kind of how I got my Vegas show. But I mean, very quickly, just turboing through, I studied the Strip. I learned, I kind of mapped it out, like the Human Genome Project of like who owns what casinos, like where are they, who works, who are the decision makers at all these different casinos and properties. How does it work? Right. I did my research. I started going to every show on the Strip. Started trying to get into any like party or networking event. I literally would show up. I would like get into like back offices at Caesars with like donuts and stuff, just like trying to meet people. Like I just kind of old school, like knocking on doors, you know, and people are like, get out of here, kid. Yeah, who do you think you are? Like, you know, go back and find them, you know, like slamming doors in my face. Right. But like, you know, I started doing a spot in a magician show in town on the Strip, and the pay was, I don't want to brag, but the pay was $25 a show.
You could go to some buffets with that.
Yeah, exactly. Like clearly not enough to live on. And so I was able to parlay that into my own dinner show in the mall at Caesars. So I went and I found a space that would give me a rent-free arrangement. And I asked the magician that I was working for at the time, I said, if I get like my own show somewhere, will you allow me to push your audience to that show? And in exchange, I'll do your show for free. So knowing the Vegas business model, he wants to like lower his overhead as much as possible. So he's like, yeah, absolutely. It's like, you don't have a show. I'm like, don't worry about that. I just want to know, like, can I use your 4 p.m. show to push your audience at the Flamingo, which was like packed with 500 plus people, to my show TBD. Right. And he said, sure. So I found a spot in the mall. It was a Planet Hollywood restaurant in the Caesars Forum shops in the mall. And I said, hey, if I bring you dinners, will you give me a rent-free situation that I could have my show here? So we worked out a deal. It was $25 a head, and the $15 went to pay for the dinner, and then $10 went to me. So I put out a big stand in the concourse of the mall saying dinner and a show with my face on it. Wow. Right. And I would say to everybody at the show at the Flamingo, hey, I'll see you over. Come to my dinner show. It's normally like $80, but with your ticket stub, $25. And they go, ooh, right? So they didn't realize that no one else was seeing my show. I had zero marketing. I was entirely marketing to that audience that I was performing for free, pushing them to this dinner show. And I was able to get a rent-free situation because I was giving the restaurant something that they wanted, which was customers for dinner. So then I would do my show. So I sold the tickets at Planet Hollywood, right? I was the one taking the credit cards. I set up the show. I would open up the door. I would seat everybody. I would do the show. I would sell merchandise. I would pack it all up, and I would do that again and again. I ran that show for years, doing the show for free at the Flamingo and pushing them to Planet Hollywood restaurant. Anyway, I parlayed that into this 2:00 show with Caesars because some bloggers started to take note. And they said, hey, have you seen, there's a guy doing this like dinner show. He's really good. Like this is worth seeing. So it kind of got some buzz. So someone from Caesars saw me there and offered me this opportunity in kind of as a showcase spot to see if I could like hack it to kind of be in the big room at the Imperial Palace at the time. So anyway, so I parlayed like this free spot into the dinner show to then a 2:00 show. I went from 2:00 to 4:00 in that theater. Then I moved to 5:30 at the Flamingo, and then to 7:00 at the Paris when there was an opening. So I'd like to joke that I worked my way up to prime time like 30 minutes at a time, like every year over 10 years. But you know, that's the turbo version of just a lot. Like I did a lot of shows, and I come to find out later that the regional president of Caesars, he used to come in for my spot at the Flamingo at that other magician show. I had like a 10-15 minute spot because he like enjoyed it so much and he loved seeing me. Right. So then years later, when it came back around, you know, it's his call. And he's like, oh yeah, I love that guy. That guy's hilarious. Like I would, you know, step out of my meetings to like go see his spot at the Flamingo. So again, it was just doing the reps and hustling and doing shows after shows, as opposed to just looking for that, like, you know, immediate, like just add water moment. And like, now you've got a show. So, yeah. And I I try to think like it's been hard, but fortunately I feel like the longer it takes to get there, then the more sturdy it is, the stronger the foundation is, and it's not going to all get, pulled away or taken from me in some moment.
Yeah, that's.
Our comments are lighten up, Jeff, because they're saying exactly what I'm thinking. Lisa's saying, it went away. Passion, persistence, patience, right? This is so admirable.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I want to go even deeper on that, like just a little bit, because I think it's, again, what you say about the arts and being discovered. I heard one time that it's like, there's really no such thing as a big break. For most people, it's like little breaks. I look at us. We've never had like a big break.
Yeah.
But yet we're way farther than we were when we first started. And it's like, it's just a lot of little breaks. But it's easy to look at you as like, oh man, he's just so optimistic and positive and little engine that could. It's like, tell me about a rock bottom moment where you're like, I don't know if this is going to work.
So my college buddies had to come out because they thought like I could be, I could have serious mental imbalances and hurt myself. Right? It was like that bad. So I slept in my hotel room for years at the Link, and then I slept in my hotel room at the Flamingo. I'm okay. Here's like real life. I'm still paying off debt from the Vegas show. It's extremely expensive, and the system is stacked against you. I have a very healthy business model now. Everything's great. I have one low monthly payment that will be handling everything, in a few months. But I'm just being real with you. I sacrificed a lot. I went into hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt, and I thought I was crazy, right? I was at a certain point, kept pushing forward, and my friends at this point are like doctors, lawyers, merchants, chiefs, right? They're kind of climbing the ladder, right? And they're they're doing all the things, right? And I'm like, I'm still juggling and telling jokes. And I'm a Las Vegas headliner, which sounds cool, but I'm broke, right? I'm losing money. My show is not making money. So sure, I've got billboards at the airport and people are from high school are and I'm, dying, right? I'm eating in the employee cafeteria 3 meals a day. I'm not paying rent, which is just that imposter syndrome, starts to creep in. So what am I doing? Right. But again, I kind of, for the first few years, I was hemorrhaging money, but I was figuring it out, right? I was learning the game. I was learning how to market myself, how to promote. I was learning it was about deals and partnerships. I was learning about, commissions and ticket brokers, and learning Yelp deals and, Expedia, Viator, Travelzoo, Groupon. I was figuring all this stuff out, right? I was figuring out the commissions and the splits. And I was like, oh, I got burned on this, but now I know. I was like, oh, this is a good ticket partnership. I'll partner with the other family friendly show that's at a different time spot, So I realized it was I was in the big leagues. I was competing against, budgets like Cirque du Soleil that had tons of money. I had no money. And so I realized that the only way to counter that was with hustle. And so I just kind of embarked on this guerrilla marketing campaign where I walked the strip every day with Jolly Ranchers and Tootsie Rolls. And I just got close with all the ticket agents. I took selfies with every ticket agent and post them and tag them and thank you. And I would go do these little call centers. I give out waters, and I just literally hustled. Whereas people would come up and say hey, we want 4 tickets for Penn and Teller at 9:00 at the Rio. And they'd say okay, cool. You know what? If you like magic, if you like Penn and Teller, you're also like Jeff. It's not magic. It's still different, right? But he's an up and comer, right? And his ticket price is 1/10 that of Penn and Teller's, right? So for $20, you can see this guy at 4:00 or 2:00 first, and they're like, okay, sure, right? So when you have enough people like that who kind of root for you and champion you, then it turns into a full showroom. So it was about 3 or 4 years of hemorrhaging money, and then 3 or 4 years of breaking even, and then 3 or 4 years of actually making real money. But I mean, again, the expense, there were many times when I had to change hotel rooms every 2 weeks because I didn't tell Caesars that I was living in the dressing room, because they gave me a hotel room because the hotel was under construction. So there was no backstage. They're oh, we'll just give you a hotel room. So I'm like, great, I can live there. So I literally changed rooms every 2 weeks for years at the Flamingo, which is insane to think about now. But it was weird in a sense. I kind of liked it because I was like, I'm like doing it, I'm like hustling. This is it. Like it was weird. I kind of embraced the suck a little bit, right? Like, I was like, this is really hard now, but like, this is a great story. Right. And I kind of felt like I always felt a little bit like third person, like I'm living this like hustle story of, like the kid who got a Vegas show, his childhood dream since he was doing shows in his kitchen. I always wanted to have my own show in Las Vegas. Like I got it. So I'm going to make this work. I'm going to figure it out. And at a certain point, you kind of have to, which I think is liberating, right? Because I was too far in, right? I was like couple hundred G's in debt. Like I was doing everything that you're not supposed to do, right? Like I was maxing out credit cards. I was like getting loans from like family and friends and like doing all the things, right? And then I'm reading books and it's like, pay yourself first and then do it. What are you talking? Like I would have to call, I still remember this, like to print, I had to print my own ticket. So it cost 10 cents a ticket to print, like the Ticketmaster tickets. So I remember like faking like, they're like, hey, this check hasn't showed up. I'm like, I don't know what happened. Must have gotten lost in the mail. Like I slipped on a banana peel on my way to the, like I was just making stuff up just to try to like get to the next week.
Right.
Which is hilarious now. But at the time it was like super stressful. Cause like when somebody calls, you're just like, I'm not going to pick that up. Like I know it's like jackpot printing and like Bob is mad that like I haven't paid him for those 10,000 rack cards I ordered. I did pay everyone. Really, like I did it all, but it just it was real life. Like it was real life, kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul and like making it work and like asking for hookups and breaks until I could kind of figure it out. And I felt like there was this ticking clock always at some point that I'd have to give up on the dream.
Can I remind everybody of something that Jeff said at the beginning of this interview, which is that he's celebrating 10 years of his charity.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean,
you do the math there.
Drop
You're
on
like, that was kind of, yeah.
People don't usually do their, I mean, we said that at the beginning, but now it means more to hear the struggle, the grit, the determination, the craziness involved in a big dream. And it's like, then you start your charity, right? Yeah. Then you give back. But 10 years, I mean, that just, to me, I'm just like, that's hit me over the head. So,
and you think it all started with this. This is the first business card. Is that right?
Yeah. Look at that. Yeah, look at that.
You haven't aged a day.
Yeah, right. Well, you know what? Let me talk about something about the nonprofit there. So it was really important to me because the nonprofit kept me focused on something bigger than myself, right? So for 10 years, with trying to get the show, I'm promoting me. I'm like, look at how great I am. Come see my show. I'm great. You should see my show. It's amazing. I'm great. Blah, 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 right? It's all garbage. It's all bullshit, right? So like the nonprofit was not about me, right? It's about bringing other people in. And it felt so good that it was like a great counterbalance to like all the like horrible self-promotion that is required, unfortunately, with what I do. And so like, for me, it was never even an issue of like, well, I don't really have time to be working my nonprofit. Like my nonprofit fulfilled me, right? That kept me going. And it still does keep me going. And there's like a weird perspective shift that happens too. So when I'm an entertainer before the nonprofit, you look at somebody on stage and you're like, is he better than me? Like that's immediately, right, the humanity. And you're like, oh, is he good? Am I better? Is she better? Right. But now when I see an entertainer, I'm like, oh, I got to get them involved with win-win. Like I got to bring them into my thing, to share joy, like spread smiles. Right. So that's like totally changed. And it's made me like a much nicer person and a much like cooler person, I think, because now if I like go to entertainment parties or industry events here in Vegas, I'm like, oh man, like I want to recruit people for win-win. Like I want to be everybody's friend to get them involved. And that's like such a different mindset than like, I'm better than you, you're better than me. I'm taking this gig, you're taking this gig. So I like win-win has made me a better person, I feel like, and focusing on that.
I'm glad Jennifer Tackett says, must be nice.
Yeah.
There it is.
I was just gonna say I'm glad you brought that up because that was one of the things I think about you, and like we just met for the first time in Las Vegas for the Influence. We saw you a couple years previous when you did the foundation dinner for NSA. And the one thing that strikes me about you is how genuinely joyful you are about other people and their success.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's because of the nonprofit or what, but I remember we were setting up for rehearsal for our thing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's Jeff Civillico, and like you came up to us and you're like, I wanted to meet you. I was hoping, and I was like, why? Like it was so weird, you know. But just even seeing your social media post, like you're just genuinely. There doesn't seem to be that comparison thing that you're just like the pie is big and we need as much joy and light in the world as we can get, and that just really comes across.
Oh, thank you. I really do believe that. I mean, there's so much work out there, right? Like it's crazy, at least in the event space. When you look at, there's so many random events, right? Like sometimes I'm like, it's great to be here for the like Arkansas Ball Bearings Association of, you know, I'm like, what do these people do? It's like, oh, they put like this shaft in elevators, like in all the elevators in the world. I'm like, okay, good for them, right? Like there's so many random organizations. It's like, oh yeah, they're like a $17 bajillion company. I'm like, cool, you know, so yeah, it's not like there's, you know, this finite amount of companies and everybody's fighting for that. Like I always have felt maybe, you know what, maybe that's because, as I'm just thinking about this, maybe that's because until I started keynote speaking, where there's a little bit more of this of like, we're looking for a keynote speaker, let me pick keynote speaker X, Y, or Z. I've always been having to convince a client of the value of me, like in general. I'm not usually fighting against other people who do what I do. Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of like the pie thing is like, I can just convince as many people as I possibly can that I will be a good addition to their event. So that has nothing to do with like all the other people who are working out there. Yeah. Right. So like as an MC, you know, it's not like, well, we always have these MCs that it's like, oh, and I never thought about that. Like I'm convincing you of the value of hiring a professional external MC, not, you know, I'm trying to fit in when you're looking for an MC and you're choosing between, you know, or among 200 of them. Right.
Yeah.
Well, we're so grateful that you've taken the time to be with us. I have one more question I like to ask people. What this is a little bit out of left field.
Yeah, this is going to come out of nowhere.
But so it's a fun question. Okay. What food, sound, or smell most reminds you of childhood?
Oh, wow. Okay, so food, sound, or smell? Mm-hmm. I'm going to say Italian food, specifically gnocchi, because that's my favorite food, and my grandmother always used to make that for me for my birthday. But every Sunday we would go and she would cook this like amazing Italian food. So like ravioli, you know, like all the different pastas, right? And she would always lift up our stomach to see if we were full, like our shirts, and like, you know, and if we weren't full, she'd be like, mange, like, you know, come on, like, right? And I have really good memories of going to my grandma's house with my family, and we would always play like different games and rough house and get in trouble and everything. So yeah, I would say probably Italian food with a specifically gnocchi.
Nice. Did you call her like grandma, like her first name, grandma, last name, or just grandma?
Yeah, so she was grandmom on the Italian side, and Graham was on the Irish side. So I'm 50-50 right down the middle, Irish Italian.
Okay. Very cool.
Like I'm now. I talk with my hands.
Well, thank you so much, Jeff. This has been a treat. I could have talked for another 2 hours. Fascinating stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Such a generous heart. It's so great to have you. And people can. I think Jenna dropped in the link about winwinentertainment.org.
Oh, yeah.
I believe, right? And then of course jeffcivillico.com. 2 L's. Remember that, you guys. 2 L's. And
so, Jason, you know how you can remember that? So, Civillico in Italian means little refined one. So, remember the 2 L's is like a diminutive, right? So, like civil. Mm-hmm. It technically, I don't think it really fits, to be honest.
Don't worry, but I'm never gonna forget it now.
Little refined one. I would like you to refer to me as a little refined one.
All right, you got it. All right, Jeff. Thank you so much for being with us. It has been a hoot. Have a great night and keep keep doing good
Keep
things.
shining. Good to see
Hey,
you, Jeff.
I love you all.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Love you too. Oh man, you guys!
What an awesome dude.
I love his honest journey that he shared with us. You don't get to hear that, especially after seeing him MC the Influence convention that we shared with you guys. We shared our keynote a couple weeks ago, but here's all these speakers looking up to him, and wow, this guy's got it all together. To hear his journey and the grit, I think that's the word I keep going back to, because there is an enormous amount of tenacity and grit that has taken place. You don't get to witness that very often. Is that true?
Definitely.
I mean, we see it sometimes because we do have those honest conversations with our entrepreneur friends. But to have that shared tonight, I think is a gift. There's somebody on here tonight, I feel like, who has this dream that there's going to be some grit involved, right? And I don't think we honestly talk about that enough.
Yeah, well,
what's involved?
Yeah, I'm glad he was so vulnerable about that, because it's like you get a guy who's like juggler, Las Vegas entertainer. It's like, how do you relate to that? What is that? Yes, he's entertaining and he's funny, but when you hear the story of what it took to get to where he is, that's applicable.
Right.
That's applicable to all of us, of whatever it is we're trying to accomplish in life, is just taking it and not giving up and doing whatever it took. And I was exhausted learning just listening to the turbo
in a good
version.
way.
Right?
I know. Well, Lisa Watts puts it like it's so refreshing.
Yep.
To hear this honest journey. So very cool. I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as we did. That was really neat.
Yep. Let's move along here.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
All right, real quickly, time is running out for your chance to be part of this live cohort of Wonder Hunt, which starts next Monday.
Yes.
Monday starts.
Text messaging course. So we're going to have 20 lessons Monday through Friday for 4 weeks. So basically all of October. And I don't know about you guys, but October is filled with wonder here in the Midwest. And I know even the Tracy's down in Arizona, it's starting to cool down, starting to invite that little wandering, mentality. So I hope you'll join us. We have a nice group signed up.
Yes, please do.
Awesome.
Got a few more days left. escapeadulthood.com/wonderhunt. Check it out.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
As the final in a series of reflections on the lessons learned from my family's hike up the Lanikai Pillbox Trail, this might be the one I needed the most. When we began the hike, the summit was the agreed upon destination. Anything less would have been a disappointment. We wanted to see the best view. Well, it's been said that life is the journey, not the destination, and for good reason. There are a lot of cool things to see on the way, and if you keep your head down, you're liable to miss them. Take the pandemic as an example. Now, we haven't yet reached the destination, but perhaps you can use this moment as a little bit of a lookout. I think it's worth appreciating how far we've come, starting with the fact that we know a lot more about the virus and how to treat it than we did a year ago. Also, vaccinations are readily available for all who want them. And we somehow made it through the great toilet paper shortage of 2020. Now, I'll admit that when striving for a goal, I have the tendency to keep my head down until it's accomplished. No sense looking up until the job is finished, I figure. Otherwise, you're just giving in a distraction and wasting time. At the risk of stating the obvious, but with a desire to remind myself, there are plenty of reasons to stop along the way and appreciate how far you've come. For one, it helps avoid burnout. Whether it's a 2-hour task or a 2-year adventure, little breaks actually improve efficiency and help maintain your energy levels. Secondly, moments of reflection allow for much needed perspective. You can consider what's been working well, what might need to be adjusted, and consider if this is still the path you even want to be on. Finally, stopping along the way keeps you from missing your life and the beauty hidden in each moment. John Lennon was right when he said, "Life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans." We all want this pandemic to be over. The temptation is to keep our heads down until things get back to normal. We're always eager for trials to pass, just like parents who yearn for the day their child finally sleeps through the night. But each season has blessings that accompany the trials. I might be happy that I no longer have to change diapers, but man, Do I miss holding a sleeping baby in my arms? With each new season we enter, the old one fades away, never to return again. Don't ever wish away time. Don't rush past the lookouts. Don't be so eager to reach the finish line that you miss the scenery along the way. Of course, when you do reach a summit, celebrate it. It may seem obvious, but to a driven person like myself, I need the reminder. When I've completed a goal, I rarely savor the accomplishment. I'm more likely to think, well, this was the goal. This is what I set out to do. No sense celebrating like I won the lottery. This was the expected outcome. What's next? To make matters worse, sometimes when things are going well, I can't help myself. I'm tempted to wonder when things will take a turn for the worse. I look around for the other shoe to drop, which is dumb, because any second I spend on that robs me of the joy of the present moment. Call it pessimism, realism, or a huge sense of unworthiness, but it's not great, Bob. The midwife who helped us out with the birth of all 3 of our children had a saying she usually aimed at Kim: don't go looking for trouble. It was meant to be a caution against needless worry, a reminder to stay at peace in the present, not entertain the anxious thoughts of an uncertain future. So yes, we finally made it to the top, and I was able to slow down and put the return trip planning on hold for a hot minute. The view was as good as advertised. We lingered there for a good long while, savoring our triumph. Please take a few moments to do the same with your life. Enjoy the season you're in and look for the blessings amidst the trials. When you have a good day, accomplish a goal, or achieve a small victory, appreciate and savor the gift that it is. Don't be so quick to worry about a time when things will start moving downhill. Life is long. There are sunny days and there are rainy days. Don't waste a sunny day scrolling the weather app on your phone, searching for a rainy one.
I have to tell you, you were kind of we were channeling each other, because my Whimsy Wednesday post this morning,
I didn't get a chance to read it yet.
It has a lot of the same ribbons throughout, is to just figure out a way to savor it, because it goes so fast. Like you said, life is long. I kind of said life is fast. It's both and all of it.
Mm-hmm. It really is. Yeah, the hard parts are long, the good parts are fast, right?
Right.
All right. Well,
do we get to draw tonight?
We get to draw.
Okay.
It may be getting later, but we still, if you've been hanging in for drawing, please get out your crayons, your pencils, your markers. Let's draw.
This is kind of a fun one tonight, guys.
All right, let's dig into this right away. We're going to start with 4 lines. All right. Mm-hmm. So start in your page. Don't go all the way down. Go maybe about 3/4 down. And this will actually be a little bit better if the lines aren't quite that straight. That's totally okay. All right. Now we're going to draw some sort of like little hills. Okay. And a little bit like this. 2 little hills. Maybe they look, what do they look like? Little boulders maybe. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now what we're going to do is we're going to draw under these hills. We're going to draw not quite, a little bit rounded, not quite as rounded, but we'll kind of do little jagged little
Julie Brown V. Look at her.
She's got it.
She's been around the block.
All right. Now we're gonna draw a line here, and a line here, mm-hmm. and a line here, and a line here, just like that. Okay. So far, so good. Kind of looks like 2 arrows pointing down into to hot cross buns. That's what it is. All right. Now we're gonna draw a line that looks like this, and like that, mm-hmm. and like that, and like that.
Now
and suddenly these are looking
together.
A little bit like bunny slippers, aren't they?
Yes.
So let's draw those ears in here, just like this. Okay, and then we're going to draw a little wavy line here at the bottom of the pajama pants.
Mine are always a little too short.
And then we'll draw
anybody else have that problem?
A couple lines in here for the ankles. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then, of course, we need to give these little bunnies a little face. So we're going to draw a triangle on each one with a couple eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And then a little...
Aw, they're adorable.
Smile.
They're so cute.
All right, and then it's just the fun part. It's all coloring it in.
I want to know who has bunny slippers. You know?
Did you have anything like that when you were a kid?
No, we wanted them, and we were gonna ask Jeff that, but we ran out of time. He wore some really big, funny slippers on stage when he was emceeing the convention, and then you said that you saw pictures of him with some big slippers.
He had some like pink bear claw ones, and
so
I think
he
had
must
some
use that as kind of a prop.
Some unicorn ones.
Yeah. Steven says he has duck slippers. That'd be fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to have like Bigfoot, like bear. It was like they were brown, hairy,
yeah,
with claws and stuff.
Was this
I
like in the
love
80s
those.
or 90s? Because I can picture exactly.
Probably,
there weren't as
yeah.
many back then as there are now. I can kind of picture what you've got.
Yeah.
Tracy has penguin slippers. Of course you do.
That does not surprise me at all.
Jennifer has cat slippers. Julie Veet has Santa and elf slippers with bells on the toes. Ooh, that would get tricky at night. The bells.
Interesting, yeah.
It'd be tricky to wear those to go get your glass of milk in the middle of the night. Do people do that?
Yeah, I'm like, what is this, 1940? So here's where the fun part comes in. Is I want to see, I love this color that I picked because it's like a Simpsons color. So I'm actually going to keep this color for the skin because it looks like it's maybe Marge or something. But if you go with a little bit darker, that's not bad.
I know.
I'm going to put a little shadow under here. To go a little darker so it stands
Mike
out.
Schroeder had Garfield slippers.
Ooh, that was classic.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do a little curve there, then it looks a little shadowy. And then, of course, the fun part is going to be seeing how you decorate your pajamas.
How did you do that shadow? That really makes it look... That is amazing. Those little touches, right? I love that. Yep. Elle says she never had animal slippers, but she had pink Volkswagen ones in the early 2000s, which is so early 2000s, right? That's awesome.
Now, if you want to do something kind of fun here, you could do do little triangles like this. Because this was of course inspired by a pajama run, which involves ice cream.
Yes.
And then you can get your pink in here, and then just draw a circle on the top.
Bubblegum ice cream right there. Strawberry maybe.
You got these are very unique pajamas.
Yeah, I like the multi-patterned pants.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see what other. Okay, so here's another little thing you can do is if these look a little fuzzy. A lot of times we talk about like shinying things up.
Yeah.
But what if you just do little? I'm not even going to do it that dark. It doesn't need to be that dark. Let's undo that.
There's a way to make them look fuzzy.
Well, let's see. Let's see if I can pull it off.
Let's see if you can pull it off.
So get just a slightly lighter shade of pink. And then just draw little dots.
It adds texture.
And it gives texture.
Yeah,
right?
I like it.
And it's still a similar concept of where the light is coming from. It's like coming up from the right here. But if you just kind of draw little plumpy dots, it gives it a little bit of that fuzzy, fluffy, cottony kind of a thing.
I love this. So Lisa says she needs a new pair of slippers. Elle suggested maybe we do a slipper swap.
Slipper swap.
Slipper swap. Say that 10 times fast. Maybe for Wonder and Whimsy. That would be. What if you sent people a pair of slippers? I love that idea. Yeah. Rachel, you're on it, I'm sure.
Never know.
And Kara Tracy had Scotty dog slippers in college. That's adorable.
Love that. Well, please send us your pajama pants and bunny slippers to kj@escapeadulthood.com. We want to see them, and I want to see how you customize the bunny, what colors you use, how you do the pajamas. Get some plaid or some stripes or something.
I was a size 7, so
okay,
this is good.
Good to know. All right. Well, this is one from Steven from several weeks ago.
Roe, right?
This was
her
Roe.
drawing. Yeah.
Our youngest daughter drew this little apple, and this is his rendition. Here we have last week we had, of course, Mark Schulman, who's the drummer for Pink. If you did not see that interview, check it out in the archives. You don't want to miss that.
That was fun.
But we drew Happy Drum here, and let's see, can I see Marty and the Mischief Makers?
That's so cute. I love the colors, Martha.
Yeah, and then Jennifer came up with this little one, again, incorporating Marty into it with her
so cute.
Her little Happy Drum, and I love that as well.
What's the name of that drum? There's a certain name for that kind of drum.
That you're asking the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Snare drum? Is it a snare drum?
I feel like it's something like that. But,
I don't know. Someone will probably.
Drummers,
someone knows.
what kind of drum is that?
And then
So
I did have a meme of the week. We didn't get a chance to do that, but I found a fun juggling themed one. Have you ever seen this garbage can? It's always so sad when one gives up juggling. You ever see this little icon on a garbage
it's
can?
All the dots going
You'll
up.
never think of it differently again.
The end of a juggler.
Julie says it's a kettle drum.
Okay.
But Jenna says snare drum. So
snare,
Elle says it's a rat-a-tat-tat drum. Which I'm going to go with that one.
Little drummer boy drum.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Well, we're just about out of time here.
Thanks for sticking around.
A little reward for those of you who stuck around. We've got another giveaway.
All right, Brenda was our winner last week, and we got a gift card.
Yes,
yes, I'm falling off the job here. $10 gift card to our lemonade stand. What do they have to answer tonight?
Well, what we want to know is what would be a scenario in which it would be ill-advised to show up in your pajamas.
Which is
our son Ben probably would say nothing. He lives in his pajamas
today.
Yes. But I'm curious to see what would be a scenario where it may not be a great idea.
A good idea.
So Helen pipes in right away with a job interview. That's a good
Although,
one.
could you spin it and say like, well, the virtual
What if it's at a
job.
pajama factory?
Well,
Or a bunny slipper factory. How about a funeral? Yeah,
that would be
that's
rough.
Not great.
Mm-hmm. A little ill-advised.
A job interview also. How about court? Interesting. Completely different if you're, on trial yourself or jury duty.
Yeah.
I wonder if you show up in
roles.
pajamas. Is that a way to get out of jury duty? You just show up in pajamas. You're like,
this is me.
This guy. You might get a stern talking to from the judge.
All these job interviews, everybody's hiring. Everybody. Maybe you'd still get hired with pajamas.
Yeah. Well,
they're just looking for a
I think it needs to be noted that the job interview, we're talking in person, because you could wear your pajamas on a Zoom interview and you'd be fine.
That's a good point.
Wes says TV interview. It's pretty good.
You should probably dress up a little bit.
Jane says the Christian Teachers Conference I'm at right now. Maybe it wouldn't be such a good one.
Jammy time.
Meeting the in-laws.
Oh, not
meeting the girlfriend's parents for the first time.
Oh, you could use your imagination while you're in your pajamas.
How about a nudist event?
Oh,
it's frowned upon. Helen says surgery as the physician, but I think they wear pajamas as scrubs are pajamas. I don't know who they're trying to kid, but scrubs are pajamas.
Really
I don't care what anyone
I'm
says.
trying to figure out how to wear scrubs every day without people asking me if I work at a hospital.
Now I like Sharon. Sharon is up in the creative. The presidential inauguration.
Ooh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. Now we're going to the next level. Going to the next level. Like suddenly I regret this decision to vote for this person. Let's see.
That's funny.
It may depend on what you consider PJs.
That's a good point.
Right?
Yeah.
Black tie party.
Yeah, a little cash.
What if you have one of those?
I was just thinking that. I'm like, don't they have pajamas
that
has the tie like built in?
Church.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I do see people that kind of look like they're wearing pajamas to church, but hey.
That's what leggings are for, right? For us girls.
Scott, I like this boot camp. Yeah, that's not gonna go. That's not gonna go over.
Nope, you're gonna be dropping and giving them like 1,000 push-ups, right?
Lisa awards dinner. Yes.
Yeah. it's a
Wedding?
little rough. Wedding. I thought of wedding, Karen.
Has there ever been a wedding in the history of weddings in which the bride has worn pajamas? You know there has
maybe in
been.
Vegas.
You know there has been somewhere.
Vegas.
Yeah, shotgun wedding.
Yeah, right.
Hillbilly wedding. I
Right.
don't know. What else?
These are fun, you guys.
Come on.
Oh,
You're
all
just
day
playing
long.
Ellen. It's more of like, what is the dress code of Walmart? That was not the question. Maybe next week.
Raise
Ellen.
your hand if you have not worn pajamas to Walmart.
That's good.
Does anyone have their hand up? I feel uncomfortable if I don't have pajama pants on at Walmart.
Yeah, Julie says, isn't that the norm? Jennifer, the red carpet. Well, you know, there's probably some
There's a
celebrity
lot of
that's worn
adultitis
pajamas and is seen as avant-garde. But
yeah.
well, I'll
This
tell you
is
what,
good.
you guys did a great job on this one, and we will pick a winner. Keep those coming in if you want. We'll pick a winner at the end of the show.
I love that Ellen put a laugh face by Walmart because
Yeah,
she just
'cause
like
she
she just
knew.
dropped
She knew what
it.
she was
She's
doing
like,
there.
play with that one, you guys. Walmart, and we're all like, yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Well, of course, you want to be subscribed to the Insider, escapeadulthood.com, to find out what good things are always coming up. We have some big things coming up in the
Yes,
next
we do.
couple weeks, couple months.
Wonder
that you're gonna wanna be a
Whimsy,
part
as
of.
you open your red boxes, you're seeing some of them. Is that
Mhm.
fair to say?
Yeah, we have a couple major announcements to share that Wonder and Whimsy Society people will know about before anyone else. And already starting to get emails from people excited about
Yes, and I
opening
love
the
it.
red
By the way,
boxes.
the Wonder Whimsy folks, thank you for not spoiling things for those who have not gotten their boxes yet. I mean, they just got mailed like 2 days ago. But I have seen a lot of people holding their boxes and talking about how excited they are about things inside, but they're being very vague. So thank you for that. You don't have to do that, but we appreciate it because it does kind of create that anticipation and surprise for everybody.
Yeah, interesting. In about a week or so, we'd love you to share everything on social media and everywhere because it's kind of
we do
fun
have
to
some
see
Canadian
what
members,
it's about.
So
for
it
people.
does take a few days for everything, even though it's priority mail. Give me a break.
To percolate.
The post office probably is short staffed too.
Yep. And we'll be sharing some of the stuff in the next few weeks of what's going on. But
yeah,
we have a show next week, and then we're going to be actually taking a few weeks off. We're going to be going on a little mini vacation. I have a program in
Nebraska.
I don't know if you can hear all of the buffalo up there right now. All of a sudden, the kids are running through the house.
Nebraska. There's buffalo above us.
But tune in next week. We got a good show planned, and that's it. I think that's it. This is it though for Wonder Hunt. October 4th,
Join
next
us.
Monday, is going down. So go to escapeadulthood.com/wonderhunt. But that is it for this show. Until next time, Adultitis Fighters.
Shine on, spread whimsy, and keep being awesome.